Hi everyone, I'm putting this video together to share my experience of mixing trance music on a pair of Technica LP120 USB turntables. A few things to get out of the way before we get into it. This is the original model of the LP120 turntable. I believe this is now discontinued and there are some newer models out. Because I mix trance music, the transitions I do tend to be longer. So the issues that I will talk about in this video likely cause me more problems than they otherwise would do if I wasn't doing such long transitions. I also want to point out that I am by no means professional, completely amateur, self-taught, been mixing since the late 90s, early 2000s, pretty much always trance music as well. So with all that said, let's talk about the actual issues that I've seen when I've been mixing on these. I'll start off with a few positives actually. Once they are in sync, if they are perfectly in sync, for example, if you get two records on both decks and you've got them both at 0 and the record is the same BPM, they will most likely keep the pitch for a very long time. I've done it for an entire track. There's absolutely no issue once you've got the pitch. The build quality is nice. It's a nice looking turntable with the classic Technics 1210 style design, so no issues there. The torque is a little bit lacking. So I've never owned 1210s. The decks that I owned back in the day were Citronic PD1s. The torque is probably closer to them. I have mixed on 1210s a few times at a friend's house, for example, and I remember one of the very noticeable things is the amount of torque that they have and the way that they will pull the record underneath the platter. Underneath the slip mat, sorry. These do tend to do that a little bit, but yeah, it's nowhere near the torque of 1210, even if it is the same on paper. Now, there's plenty of stuff online about that. I think it's the way they measure it, but if we go away from the positives and the little issue I mentioned there with the torque, the start of the issues with these turntables is the pitch control. So the sensitivity on it is crazily high. So as an example, the steps between sort of here and just a tiny nudge upwards, they're quite large. So what we'll tend to do is get the songs roughly on beat. You might bring the fader in and realise this is running a bit too fast or a bit too slow, so you need to make the small adjustment, and then as normal, because you'd make a small adjustment there, you might try and make a small adjustment there to counteract that and to even things out, get them a bit better. What can very quickly happen is just that tiny adjustment there to try and match the small adjustment you're making with your finger there, that can result in the pitch going way too slow, and then all of a sudden you're going back the other direction, and it's quite easy to, you can imagine how challenging that is, it's quite easy to lose control. So because of that, you often do end up with the tracks not being quite aligned. Now again, that's not a massive issue on its own, but that does lead on to probably the more serious of the issues that I've had with these. I'll insert another video probably about here, about the app that demonstrates the issue I'm having. So I'll insert that now. Okay, now I've got the camera turned around. Here's a demonstration of the issue I was talking about, where slowing down the platter will make the speed of the turntable go completely crazy in the opposite direction. So you'll see it doesn't happen every time, but it happens occasionally, and it's enough to throw the mix quite a lot out. So see, it happens straight away there actually, and I don't know if you heard it on the camera, probably not, but the turntable made kind of a clicking noise. It's not clicking, it's not quite right, but you could definitely hear something in the background. A little bit there. A little bit there. A lot there, and that same, I think people refer to it as cogging before. It's the same noise. I'll try and pick it up now. If I hold the platter, there's obviously the sound of the slip mat, but underneath it is the sound that's coming from the motor.
Wow. Okay, that was a fantastic example. That was speeding up for absolutely ages after it. Wow. In fact, gosh, it didn't even stop then. Okay.
I think it's the combination of the large steps between the small movements on the pitch, resulting in bringing in mixes that aren't quite there, and then needing to make small adjustments. But then those small adjustments lead into the motor behaviour that I showed, that really make these decks not ideal for the longer transitions and really cause most of the problems that I've been experiencing with them. I'd be interested to know if other decks similar to these, like the Pioneer PLX-500 or the Reloop RP4000s, have similar issues, as they're all made by Hanpin. It's not impossible that they have this issue. It's also not impossible that something in Pioneer or Reloop specifications mean that this doesn't happen. Maybe this is something that only happened with the older generation of these decks, and Hanpin have updated the specification at some point. So it'd be great to hear if anyone's got similar issues, because in all honesty, with the pitch step and the motor, they're the only issues. They do hold the pitch completely fine once they're there. It really is just those two issues. If it weren't for those two issues, I think at the price, these would be fantastic decks. The RP7000s are way better, however, they are a little bit more expensive. I don't think they're too much more expensive, which is why I'd probably say if the Pioneer and the Reloop lower end models do have similar issues, at that point, I really don't think these are good value, and you might as well wait and save a little bit more and get the RP7000, because they're much less work to mix on. Basically, these are really hard work to mix on. Not impossible, but really hard work. And I did find me spending a little bit too much time on beat matching, resulting in the actual equalizer, etc., not being 100%, and I could definitely do better transitions audio wise versus beat matching wise if I had spent less time beat matching the record just to get it in. So that's my conclusion. As I say, really interested to hear on other people's experiences. Has anyone else seen this? I'd be really interested to know. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you again soon.